Heyo, John Lee Dumas here of Entrepreneur on Fire, the #1 business podcast, and you are listening to the How to Quit Working show by Jeff Steinman, where you'll hear insights, stories, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs who quit their job and started a business. Prepare to ignite.
You can do anything in the entire world that you want to do, but you do have to be consistent. You do have to put in the work, and you do have to have your expectations right, because
this is the How to Quit Working show. Jeff Steinman believes entrepreneurship is the only true path to freedom. That's why he created the How to Quit Working show, where you'll hear stories, insights, and inspiration from lifestyle fanatics who left their soul-sucking 9-to-5 job forever. Now, here's your host, author, entrepreneur, and ultimate lifestyle fanatic, Jeff Steinman.
Hello and welcome to the How to Quit Working show. Today we're going to talk about expectations, managing expectations, having the right expectations, and having the expectations that are going to make you successful in your business and successful at quitting your job and launching an amazing dream life like we all have on the How to Quit Working show, all of my amazing guests. Before we jump into that, I want to remind you that, that How to Quit Working circle on Facebook, if you have been listening to this show for a while and you hear me talk about it every time, every show, and you haven't joined it yet, I need to know why. Because this is an amazing place where there are people just like you who are doing the exact same thing that you are doing, and they want nothing more than to help and support you. The thing that I absolutely love about the How to Quit Working circle on Facebook is that we've been doing this for, 2 or 3 months now, and as it's gone, time has gone on, the membership has grown, and the community has become tighter. I am participating proportionally less and less and less, because what I'm seeing is more of other people out there, more members in the group supporting each other, helping each other, bouncing ideas off of each other, sharing resources, asking questions. Hey, I was thinking about this. Does anybody have any ideas or resources? And getting great information and just creating this great place. I don't want to sound sappy, but it's like you can come into the How to Quit Working circle and get this giant Facebook hug from a bunch of people who are just like you. I know I said I didn't want to sound sappy, but that's possibly the sappiest thing I've ever said on this show. But oh well, I think it's true. So go to howtoquitworking.com/group and join the How to Quit Working circle on Facebook. I love it out there. You're going to love it. Again, howtoquitworking.com/group, and then just click on join group, and you'll be right in there as soon as I approve your request, which will be very, very quickly. Now, let's talk about expectations. I was thinking about this topic a lot, and this came up a couple of times this week. As I always say, I decide what the topic of the Friday show is going to be based on the overall theme of what I hear from people and conversations that I have. And this is what it was this week. It's all about expectations. And the thing that's tough about this for me to talk about is, in terms of what lights me up and what gets me excited, that's all about telling people and helping people to realize how much is possible. Because, I've talked about this before, but I have a belief that we just think as humans that so much less than actually is possible. That's a really long way to say that. Said more simply, we don't really think that very much is possible, and a lot more than we believe is possible. So I love being able to tell people that, wow, there's a ton more that is possible that you didn't even know was out there, and way more things, and you can literally do just about anything that you want. Now, what happens is when I'm very passionate about that, and then when it comes into sort of the expectations realm, then that gets, for me anyway, a little bit less exciting because, managing expectations is about being realistic about what it takes to accomplish things. Again, I will preface everything I say by saying, yes, you can do anything in the entire world that you can even fathom doing. But the flip side of that is you can't do everything. You can do anything, but not everything. And that comes down to a couple of things. And that means that, number one, you have to choose the things that you really care about and the things that you really want to focus on and the things that are the most important to you so that you can focus on them, focus your limited energy, time, and resources on them. But it also means setting expectations about what it's actually going to take to get that thing that you want. Right. And what happens so often, particularly in the business building world, and especially if you slather all that online crap on top of it from all that, all the get rich on Facebook and online marketing gurus, when you slather that on, you end up, unfortunately, with some really unrealistic expectations that get publicized, right? So when somebody has a huge success, and this is a favorite of mine. This was an article that I read, or a blog or something that I read a while back, and somebody said, how I made $7,000 in 10 minutes or something like that. All right. So this guy had emailed an offer out to an email list that he had, and it converted at some percent, and he made $7,000. It was an affiliate offer or something like that. And what happens is we hold up stories like that, and we only, I shouldn't say we, because I hope I don't do this, but many online marketers and other gurus and folks hold up stories like that, and they don't give you the whole truth, right? And the whole truth is that in order to have an email list that will generate $7,000, you have to spend a very, very long time building that list and a long time nurturing that list. That does not happen overnight. And no, he did not make $7,000 in 10 minutes. He made $7,000 with probably several months at a minimum of work building and nurturing that list and building their trust and getting them to know and trust him, which, in my opinion, in this case, was a mistake on the part of the people on his email list because of the way he's talking about it. But he spent a lot of time getting to the point where he could actually do that. One of the things that I love saying is this whole idea that, make money while you sleep. And I think that's such a silly, silly concept, because you know what? When I worked in corporate, I made money while I slept. By that definition, right? When I was asleep at midnight, the direct deposit every 2 days went into my bank account. I made money while I slept. So in the strictest sense, but in the reality, I had to spend 40 or 50 hours every week going and doing something that I didn't enjoy doing to make that money. But when we talk about, making money online or making money passive income kind of while you sleep, so to speak, it's the same thing. Yeah, well, maybe there's purchases that come in while you sleep. This always occurs to me. I was under the weather earlier this week, and I'm still kind of climbing out of the the hole, and still starting to kind of pull myself together and start to feel 100% and getting back to normal. But there was a couple of days when I spent a decent amount of time in bed, and I made money during that time. But that wouldn't have happened had there not been a lot of other work prior to that. So this whole make money while you sleep thing it's silliness. And what happens is we get attached to these notions, and we get attached to these ideas that it's easy. And then money just rolls in while you sleep. You just slap up a website or whatever. Now, I'm using a lot of examples from the online space because I think it's the most egregious that I know of in terms of the expectations that they create for folks. But this is true of there's MLM marketing funnels that create those expectations, and real estate investing products and brands that create those expectations. But the bottom line is, what happens is, and I don't truly believe those people are bad people. I don't truly believe that they're bad people or that they're trying to scam you. I think they're probably giving good information, but what happens is there's definitely a cumulative effect there of folks' expectations getting really, really out of whack. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today is the whole idea of what happens when your expectations get out of whack. Now, this sort of intertwines, so to speak, with the whole idea of the entrepreneur danger zone. And I did a whole episode on the entrepreneur danger zone a couple of weeks ago. But I'm going to quickly just kind of recap what that means. Now, the entrepreneur danger zone is when you're going along and you've got this new thing that you're doing, this new business you're starting, this new venture, whatever it may be. You're going along, and in the initial phases of it, you're really excited about it. And that excitement is carrying you through. That excitement is what's getting you up every day, working on it. It's what's getting you to do all the work and kind of all the, maybe some of the difficult things that you've got to do to get that going. And that's pushing you through. It's pushing you through. And then what happens is that excitement wears off. That newness wears off. It's no longer new. It's no longer exciting. So we go down. But the problem is the thing that's going to keep you up is results. But you haven't got the results yet. Right? And it's not because what you're doing is bad or wrong. It's because there just hasn't been enough time. You haven't done it long enough. So then you end up with this dip where you no longer have the initial excitement, but you haven't yet seen the results that are going to keep you going and push you on to the next phase or the next part of the business or the process or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. So that's the entrepreneur danger zone. And one of the things that exasperates or makes the danger zone even worse is when we have unrealistic expectations. When we have expectations that, for example, you could throw up a podcast and in 3 months have some kind of crazy, huge results, or have a large following at that point. No, it takes considerably more time with that. For a podcast, for example, and that's just one example that I'll give. This applies to a million different things. It takes very few people see any kind of really drastic results in the first 12 months. And that was certainly my experience is that at 12 months, a whole lot of things really began to happen and really began to see some really good momentum. But now again, some take longer, some take shorter. But 12 months does seem to be kind of a fairly standard time frame for folks that are doing it in a reasonable way and putting in a reasonable amount of effort. So when you have the expectation that you can just do something for 3 months, and then it's going to have some dramatic, grand effect or some really great thing is going to happen, then what's going to happen is you're going to hit 3 months and you're going to go, oh crap, this isn't working. What am I going to do now? And then guess what you're prone to do? Quit. Most people quit. And when you've got those warped expectations, what happens is, well, it's the evidence that you're looking for, right? You're in the danger zone. The newness is worn off, and you're in that dip. You don't really have anything to prop you up or support you or hold you in that phase. And on top of that, you now are seeing evidence, right? You're seeing that evidence that, I'm not seeing the results that I wanted. And it's been 3 whole months already, when in actuality, the correct thing to say is, hey, it's only been 3 months, So you've got to have realistic expectations. And, this applies to a lot of things. There was, I work on a street in St. Louis here. It's called Cherokee Street. It's kind of a transitional area, right? So it's the neighborhood is changing. There's a lot of kind of entrepreneurial activity going on here, and there's a strong neighborhood association. And it's an urban area that's turning around for the better. And so what we see is a lot of new businesses opening up, and I love to get out and walk. So I walk down the street several times a week, probably nearly every day. As long as the weather is reasonable, which it's not always here in St. Louis. But So I walk up and down the street quite a bit, and what I see is I get to see the patterns. I've been at this office for, I think, about 14 or 16 months. And so I get to see these patterns. And what you see is you see a business that opens up and in many cases closes 3, 4, maybe 6 months later. And the thing that is really kind of tragic and a little heartbreaking for me about that is the fact that, a business opens and closes before there was any chance that it could have succeeded, right? The idea that you're going to put in a boutique or a clothing store or anything like that and have it be profitable in 3, 6 months, even 12 months, it's just not realistic. Right. For example, in the grocery industry, I know a specific example of this. And I know that industry, it's very well understood that profits do not come in the first year. A grocery store, because of the very low margins, the razor thin margins that they have, as well as the spoilability of the food, right? Their merchandise, much of it expires. You can't just keep it, right? You've got to move it or you got to throw it away. And, and then the large selection that consumers demand these days, it's a very tough business, if not impossible, to make profitable in the first year. Or I'm sorry, I believe in the first 1 to 3 years, right? So that's a business that you just know is going to be unprofitable for a couple of years. Restaurants are the same way. I mean, I believe John Taffert says in one of his books, he's the guy on Bar Rescue, who's written extensively about this. I think he has some guidelines around how long before you should expect a restaurant to be profitable. I believe the number is somewhere like around 3 years. Like if you're opening a restaurant, you've just got to expect it to not be profitable in the first 3 years. So, these are very commonly known and understood things. And what unfortunately, it seems as though aspiring entrepreneurs don't think about those things, right? So if you've opened up a shop and you've closed it in 4 months, well, there's no chance that it ever could have been successful in just 4 months anyway. So clearly the expectations were out of line in a very big way from the beginning. All right. So, and I think this kind of goes back to understanding your industry. When we had Julie Boucher of Slausa on the show, excuse me, she was one of the Shark Tank contestants that I interviewed. The thing that impressed me so much about her was how well she knew her industry. I had to stop her a couple of times because she was using acronyms and terms that I didn't know because I'm not familiar with the grocery industry. And I knew that the listeners wouldn't know. So we had to ask her to define some things because she was just knows it like it's almost like second nature to her, how well she knows the categories and the things in the categories and how all this stuff works. She knows her industry very well. So the important thing is to know your industry very well. And if you open up, and let's just say that the number for restaurants is 3 years. I'm not sure if that's the right number. I'm not an expert on that, but let's just say for the sake of argument that it is 3 years. So if you're opening up a restaurant, don't go into it with a plan to be profitable in less than 3 years, right? Because you know that based on the way that industry works, the challenges that exist in that industry, the expenses and the time that it takes to build up a customer base, it's just not going to happen in 3 years. So you've got to structure that plan to ensure that you can ride out those 3 years. And and I think like when we can just understand our industry and understand some basics of business, we can keep ourselves from making so many mistakes. And like I said, it's heartbreaking as I walk up and down this street and see businesses that you can look at them and just say there's just absolutely no way this is going to work. And it's not because I'm some sort of an entrepreneurial savant. But what it really is just understanding some really basic fundamentals of business and how it works. And you can spot those really, really simple fundamental issues. Now there's any number of complexities in a business that could cause it to go south or not work or not be as profitable as you might want it to be. But, and it's important to know and manage through those details, but really you got to start with those fundamentals, those foundational things that are out there. Right. And I think, expecting a retail shop in a residential area like this, without a lot of foot traffic to be successful in 3 or 4 months is just setting yourself up for failure. It's literally setting yourself up for failure from day one. I mean, it's literally like walking out of an airplane without a parachute. It is, and it happens all the time. And that stuff is why we see business failure rates that are in the insane percentages. 50% of businesses failing in the first year, something like 70% then in the first 5 years. This is why businesses fails, because people just don't understand the fundamentals. Now, even if you do understand the fundamentals, you can still fail, and you can still fail spectacularly, even if you get all the fundamentals right. But you can vastly increase your chances if you get these fundamental things right. And my point today is that it starts with really, really understanding expectations really, really well, and really understanding the industry and what you're doing and what you're getting yourself into, that and what to actually expect from that. And that just helps. It helps increases your chances of success immensely. Now, I want to be clear in that I did paint some kind of dismal examples in that, setting expectations that restaurants aren't profitable in the first 3 years and various things like that. And the great thing, though, is that these numbers vary by industry. And what I can tell you is that in a service type of a business, which is what a lot of the folks in the How to Quit Working Now program and a lot of the folks that I talk to who listen to the show and are in the Facebook group and whatnot, generally those folks are looking at a service-based business. Now, a service-based business, again, it depends on the type of service, but generally, the fastest way to quit your job is to figure out what the heck is it that you can do that people will pay you to do, right? What is that area of expertise? What is that skill that you have? What is that talent that you have? What is that thing that you have that other people want that you can deliver to them in exchange for value? And I think that the ability to identify that, and then the ability to provide that in a very low cost way, right? So again, let's say that you are the expert on parenting, right? And you know how to raise really, really good, well-behaved, smart kids that get great grades in school. If that's your area of expertise, going out and providing that expertise to parents who are looking for help in that arena, and doing it in a very simple, easy way, and doing it, via phone coaching or Skype coaching or one-on-one coaching, these things that you can do with the basic resources that you have available to you, right? So like Daniel Vance started his restaurant consulting business with, I think that he spent his only expense was the box of Vistaprint business cards. And I think you just pay shipping for those, right? So it was probably something like less than $5. And what's amazing about his business is that he was able to start it up with literally zero overhead. What he needed was a computer, a phone, and his car. And he already had all three of those. And I'm guessing that most of you have a computer, a phone, and a car. And there's a whole lot of businesses that you can start with, frankly, just a phone and a computer. You don't even need the car these days, right? And with the internet, the ability to deliver products and services in an inexpensive way has come down. So the examples that I gave, some of those dismal examples that I gave, the restaurants and the shops and whatnot, are based on the fact that those industries require a lot of infrastructure. They require, a building which has rent and a commercial district and inventory and all that kind of stuff. And, what we talk about a lot more here on the How to Quit Working show is things that don't require such inventory and such expense and such risk when you're going into it. So, the important thing is understand that no matter what you do, it is going to take time, and know that you have to put the time in to make it work. You have to put the time in to build up the customer base. You have to put the time in to understand who your customer is and to understand the right price point. And again, this is a whole nother topic that we could talk about for a whole separate show. But again, most people undervalue themselves. They don't value what they have to offer highly enough. So they end up selling it for way too cheap. And, and then finally, just being patient with it and realizing that you have to be patient and you have to let it grow over a period of time. And you have to put that work in continuously. You have to be continuously doing those things that don't show you immediate results. Every single episode of this podcast does not grow my business. There is absolutely no way to tell how my business would be different if I did not release this episode today. So there literally is no incremental reward, no incremental business reward that comes from episode 125 or whatever this is that I can measure and see, right? And that's why we have to be we have to be cognizant of the fact that we're not going to see a result from every single thing that we do. So we have to be okay with doing things that we don't see immediate results from, knowing that the result will come in the culmination of the multiple things that you do. Remember that. It's an extremely important concept in business, and it's really at the core of why businesses fail is the whole expectation thing. And again, I want to go back and say you can do anything in the entire world that you want to do, but you do have to be consistent. You do have to put in the work, and you do have to have your expectations right, because if they're too high, if they're off the wall, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because you're going to get frustrated and you're going to quit before you should quit, and you're going to quit before you see the success that you want so badly. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the How to Quit Working show. Join us on Monday for sure. Do not miss that episode. It is a big episode with a really, really big announcement about how to quit working, and something brand new that is coming up that I am really excited about, and I know you're going to be really excited about, and I know for a fact it's going to help a lot of people quit working. So join us on Monday. Have a great weekend, and I look forward to talking to you on the next episode of the How to Quit Working show.
Thanks for joining us on the How to Quit Working show. Tune in next time when we'll talk to another amazing person just like you, who is now living the ultimate life of freedom and doing it on their terms. If you want to learn how to quit working and get these episodes delivered directly to you, visit howtoquitworkingshow.com.